Oh, last thing for me, school quality review. I've mentioned it several different times in these meetings, but I also, hopefully your teachers have sent out an email to you. If they haven't, you know, they should be. I've asked for parents to volunteer to be on a group. I've gotten a great response. I'm already trying. I really don't need anybody else. I have about 40 people who said they would. I'm only going to pick like 10. And my goal is going to be just to get a mixed, diverse group of male, female, ethnicity from all grade levels. We're going to try to have like 10 people. And basically what that group will do is come in and talk about the school. It's not as much about the system as it is about our individual school. We will also do that with a group of children. And that group of children will come in and meet with this group of 3 people, and they'll ask them a series of questions about what they feel their experience is at school. I'm not in the room. It's just basically these 3 adults. Usually one's a CMS principal or CMS staff member, and there's 2 outside folks, and they kind of just ask them a series of questions. You know, what do you think about what you're learning? And you know, nothing hardcore, you know, going to make a child like really like be baffled with the question, but it just asks general questions about their feeling of the school in regard to safety, in regard to their academics, in regard to how they're being taught, things of that nature. That's coming up in middle of February. I think it's the 16th and the 17th, if I'm not mistaken. That will be a 2-day process, but that's just a piece of it. The majority of the time they will talk to a group of my staff members doing the same thing, and then they visit classrooms. And they go into classrooms, and I do this for the school system. I'm one of the people that does it for the system. And basically what we do is we spread out throughout the building, and we try to hit as many rooms as we can, and we look at instruction. And we look at more of we look more at the kids than at the teacher, meaning that are they engaged? Is what they're doing impacting learning? Are we able to see that with the delivery, the way it's being done, that the kids are getting the outcome that we're looking for? And then we create, well, when I'm on it, we create a report that is then shared with the school. And there's bullets of things that they say the school does well, and then there's recommendations for growth. If you want to see one, you can actually go on our webpage and you can view our old one. We had one 3 years ago, and it's up, so you can review it, the recommendations and things. So you can actually see, and it will tell us, you know, where we're at right now with our program and things that they saw during this 2-day visit that will continue to help us grow as a school. And they use a lot of different data points to try to get that information. So it's parents, it's students, it's teaching staff, it's me and my administrative team, and then it's classrooms and looking at our instruction at the school. Plus they look at all of our data. So I have to create data notebooks for them so they can look through our data from the past, see where they see our weaknesses are, is it matching up with what I say our weaknesses are, things of that nature. So at the end of that, I share that information with parents, so you will be able to see the results of that, and eventually it gets posted. I'll post it on my website. Any questions about that process? From a child's point of view, there's really not much they need to be aware of, other than the fact that I'll let them know that there'll be people visiting the classrooms. Beyond that, it'll be a normal day. One of the people may come up and ask them a question. I actually do it now when I go in the classrooms. It's really it's good practice, where I'll go and talk to kids and ask them what they're doing. I'll ask them what they're supposed to do when they finish the assignment. Why are they doing the assignment? I'm beginning to get teachers to have conversations with kids about strengths and weaknesses, meaning that they conference with them and say, okay, these are the things I think you're doing pretty well. These are the things we need to work on. And then talking to them about how they're going to get there. It's not just one thing, well, you're not very good at reading comprehension, and a kid knows that. It's about how we're going to improve and to build ownership inside the child to start to be able to monitor some of that themselves, where they can see, you know I feel pretty good about these things, my teacher feels pretty good about these things with me. These are the things I need to really spend more time on as a student. And I'm trying to get teachers to have those conversations more with their kids. I know several teachers in 4th grade actually just sent an email to their parents where they're going to actually go over some of the formative data with their kids. And that's the test that they do quarterly. Even though it's not a grade, even though it's not you know, the be-all, end-all, they're just going to look at some of the objectives and talk to the kids. Like, you know, this is one that you seem not to understand. You know, let's look at this and what can we do differently, and have those conversations with kids, and they're going to start to track it a little bit. And we're trying to do that throughout the school, even as low as kindergarten, to get kids to start to see where they think their strengths and weaknesses are. So that's something hopefully you'll start to see in most of the classes over time. But we are just having those conversations with teachers. But the school quality review team will go in and ask those kind of questions to kids. Why are you doing this? You know, do you know the procedures in the classroom? What do you do when you're finished with an assignment? Do you have a task that you're supposed to work on? So they can begin to go from a student perspective of how our processes are. Because as a school, a teacher can very easily say, well, these are my procedures, these are my expectations, this is what I want my kids to know. The proof is in the pudding when we can find out, do the kids really know those kind of things? So that's why those questions are asked. So that is coming up in February, and will take us some time, but the overall school operations won't change. We have a Dad's Day, I think, in 4th grade on one of the 2 days. I think it's a Thursday. We also have a staff meeting that a PD that we're going to be doing in the afternoon that Wednesday. So it'll be business as usual, but there will be 2 or 3 other adults in the building wandering around if you happen to be here, so you'll know who they are. We will be letting parents know probably at the end of the week so they can set their calendar if they did volunteer to do it. Again, what I tried to do is make sure I had representation from every grade level, and I had a mix of folks, male, female, and ethnicity, to try to just have a good array of people to make sure that all people's views were getting the opportunity to be shared. But I probably pull 10 is what my guess is in regard to that. But we'll get in contact with parents if they can do that, and we'll set a time and we'll lock in with that. But I had I think I had over 25 people say that they would be interested, which I thought was pretty good, pretty quickly too.
It's an electronics question. My daughter is obsessed with the Nook and plotting on how she is going to achieve getting one. If she manages to achieve this goal, is this something you would allow in the school?
That's a great question. It is, because I just got an iPad, and I got a Kindle put on mine, and I actually love it. I just finished a book last night, which you all need to read. It's called The IY Generation. It's a good book. I put it in the Hawkeye. And no, I don't get any money from them. And I'm getting ready to read Waiting for Superman, which I just loaded up. So I think I would. Okay. If we're trying to push our kids into the 21st century, it's a tool. Now, I do know, and I bought my wife a Kindle for our anniversary. I do know that they have wireless. It's not a very good anniversary present.
It's awesome.
Better than a toaster.
It wasn't a vacuum.
It was very intellectually creative. I do know that some of them have wireless access and things like that. We would have to make sure kids understood very clearly that it's not going to be a tool for those other things. Like, for instance, an iPad I would be kind of weary of because of all the other gadgets that a child could get themselves involved in.
Is this a game or is it a game system as well?
Yeah, and I didn't realize that. My son told me that. I didn't know that. But you could do that on, my wife said on Amazon you can do that too. But if it was being used as a reading tool, I think I have absolutely no issue with it at all. Because to me it's promoting reading no differently than a regular book would be promoting reading. So I would be fine with it. We've never had the conversation with the teachers, so it would be something I'd have to talk to them about. But I think if we laid it out and set some guidelines in regard to what it was going to be used for, I think it could be considered appropriate. Yeah, neat idea though.
Are the kids allowed to have laptops now?
You know, I know in 5th grade that they do, if they're doing research and things, there are times where kids have been asked the teachers that they can bring in their laptops to work. The big issue is for more of word processing though, because the big issue is you're not allowed access to our wireless here at the school. I'm not even allowed to take my personal computer and hook into the wireless of the school system because of the network bandwidth. So they wouldn't be able to get internet access or do research on a laptop, but there has been situations I think where teachers have allowed in some grade and upper grades where a kid has brought in a laptop and done word processing for a project or things like that. So I could see the validity of something of that vein. If you were working on research for something and you wanted to start typing in and saving it, that would work, but it wouldn't have access to all the other stuff that you would want. I mean, you could possibly want access. You couldn't hook into our network is basically what I'm saying, because of not only the bandwidth but also viruses and things like that. They don't allow us. So even classroom teachers aren't allowed to plug in their personal computers to the system. Yeah, but again, good question. You know, I'm really trying to expand the technology piece and push teachers to think a little bit more about how we're using it. One of the things that really teachers have really bought into more of this year is the Discovery Ed, which is a free program that CMS has. And it's basically video clips that you can tie into lessons. As a history teacher, I used it all the time. Well, I didn't use it, but I used the concept all the time when I was a teacher, because I would tie in small visuals that I knew engaged my kids, and then would allow me to talk about further on a topic. For instance, some classrooms, they used it for Martin Luther King Day. They did little video clips. Some showed the actual speech. Some showed something about his life. I'm trying to get teachers not to use it for video, like film, whole videos of hours at length, but 10-minute blocks here or 5 minutes here to kind of elaborate on a science activity, or if you're looking at a certain habitat, to be able to pull a habitat up. That's one way we're trying to incorporate it. We're trying to take the smart board to another place. So it's not just an area where you can pull up a sheet on there and you can work on it, where it's more interactive, where kids are actually going up and manipulating objects, where they're getting in there and doing different things. We're trying to tie in flip cameras, where you can actually, and it's really cool if you have one, it's good with kids with fluency. For one thing, they can read into the flip, and then they can listen to themselves read, and you can talk to them about their phrasing. You could talk to them about, are they using good animation when they read? And they're going to tell you honestly when they look at it, no. And they're going to try it again. And you can try it again. And we're using that at the school. And you can also even take it a step further if you're doing a project. And again, I'm just learning these things because obviously we're the generation that was kind of on the cusp